Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we have the TNT takes for you on Survivor 47, Episode 9. I'm Jake. I'm back with my co-host, Drew. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing all right, man. I was able to watch this episode twice this week, and another solid episode. And we were talking beforehand, even though the boot seemed very cut and dry, it was a fun journey getting to that point.
Yeah, I think that's like exactly how I would describe this episode. I think I haven't really gotten to see exactly what people loved about this episode because somehow I just finished watching it, and somehow miraculously I did not get spoiled on who went home, which seems to always happen if I don't watch it on Wednesday. But I would assume that what a lot of people love about this episode is maybe the unpredictability of who was going to go home. I think you and I both maybe disagree with that, but that again doesn't take away from the fact that how we got there was just wild and just shows like people in this game are making shit happen. And if it's not going the way that they want it to go, they're going to try to blow it up. They're going to try to change the course, and nobody's just letting it pass them by.
Specifically Genevieve, which once again, like it's almost gotten to the point where I know I keep saying, oh yeah, it's one of these three people. It's almost got to the point where if Genevieve doesn't win, it'd be crazy. Now, the only thing working against her edit-wise is the fact that she was invisible the first, 2 episodes? But that shouldn't really matter. But once again, it was just, and it's funny because we get, who says it? Gabe or Kyle or somebody says, Genevieve's will just go along with whatever. She's not really strategizing. She's just kind of doing this. And I'm like, well, and then they immediately cut to her coming to Sue with the plan of eventually getting out Saul. I don't know. Like, I'm rooting for everyone still. Like, everyone's fine. My winner pick is still Rachel, all of that. But I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, if it's not Genevieve, how does she go out? Because it's wild.
She's definitely the top dog right now. And if she doesn't go home, if she makes it to the end, I would be floored if she lost. Now, getting there is obviously, what needs to happen first. And she could be what people have been saying, the dragon, that needs to be slayed. The Omer from 42.
Yeah.
That person that the winner takes out, and that's their move that they claim to the jury and said, I took out Genevieve. I think I agree. I think I agree with Gabe here. Genevieve being set up like a final boss or obvious winner. Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those two things. Like anything else, any outcome out of those two, I just don't even see as possible.
And I agree. I think that we're at this point now where, like you said, with Omer, and if we remember, Omer didn't get clocked until like right before his boot episode. I think that's when at least Marianne caught on to, but I think, because Dre goes home and it becomes like, oh man, Omer is doing a lot more than we all initially thought. Now we've got we're at final 9 now, so we still have some time for Genevieve to get clocked in order for her to potentially be put in that final boss / winner position. And I think if she plays her cards right, she will end up on top, only because everyone that goes home, she's been on the right side of every vote. If I'm not mistaken, she's been on the right side of every vote. So like anyone, and she's turned on people that she likes, and has turned on people that she has told we are good together. So she never has to come back to camp to apologize, because those people go home anyway. So you don't have to apologize, because you don't have to they're not there to apologize to. At some point, someone's got to catch on to it. I mean, I hope it's Rachel or Caroline, but it could be Sue for all we know. And if it happens, I'm curious to see how she gets out of it.
Yeah, I think that even after this move that she made, which was clearly her that made this happen, I still think that there's not a consensus on that on the beach. Like, I think that they think it was kind of like, yeah, it just happened. Like, Saul threw out Gabe's name, or yeah, Gabe's name, and Genevieve just kind of told Sue about that, and they both came up with it together. Just said like, hey, we don't really like that he's throwing out Gabe's name, and he's kind of becoming a player, so let's just take him out. It wasn't like Genevieve like going to every person being like, this is what's happening. I'm the one controlling this, even though she was. But
Yeah.
that's not what I think that they perceived happened, which is like extremely impressive.
No, no, and like we keep saying, I know she keeps getting compared to Kim Spradlin, and yes, obviously the physical and strategic comparisons are there. Um, I think the fact that people think that she's just kind of going along with the ride is the biggest difference right now, because at no point did people feel like Kim was just going along for the ride. I don't feel like Genevieve is actually doing that. I just feel like she's portrayed herself like that so much that people honestly believe that is the case. I feel like Caroline's another one where everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, whatever Gabe says is going to happen with this group, that's how they're going to vote." I don't actually see Caroline in that group. I think that she understands that it's probably the best way to go as of now. I wouldn't be shocked if she tried to pull a move to get rid of Gabe at some point within the next 2 episodes, um, because of that perception. And just hopefully she doesn't do it too early. My favorite moment about Caroline in this episode, I know we're jumping all over the place as per usual, but my favorite thing about Caroline in this episode is I feel like they probably cut out a lot in between Jeff saying, hey, some of y'all are going to lose your vote, and Caroline just being shocked. I think that she potentially went on a rant only because her reaction didn't seem like it would just end there. Just like, what? No way. It seemed like there was a lot of anger behind her reaction. Did you feel that way too?
I didn't. I don't remember exactly the moment that you're referring to, but that would be, again, I think that I would want to see some more pushback from the players sometimes. If it's like, Jeff, why does somebody always have to lose their vote? You know?
That's
And I think Caroline definitely seems like the type of person to do that. So
yeah, it's so
wouldn't be
for
shocked.
reference, it's when he's announcing the immunity challenge and he says, "Oh yeah, by the way,
Mhm.
the first 4 people lose their votes, and and it's like, but you'll have a chance. 3 of you will have a chance to get it, though." Yes, now we are at another tribal where there's at least one person that doesn't have a vote. It just keeps on happening, and I'm not going to say it's keeping the season down, because it's not, because it seems like it's almost universally loved. But it's just stuff like this that even the naysayest of naysayers will say, "Oh well," and it's like, yeah, you're right. You're right about that. You're right
Yeah.
that these twists are just getting out of hand, where people just don't have votes. Um, Thankfully, the non-vote this round didn't really matter, but
Right. I think that that's something that you and we both agree. The new era is, we like the new era. It's maybe not our favorite era. I don't know about you, but I
it's not my
probably
favorite era.
prefer.
But yeah, but I
Yeah.
prefer it over like the Dark Ages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think we're on the same page there. That's one thing that's like, people who hate the new era, when they bring that up, it's like, yeah, I can't argue with you.
yeah.
Got to give it to you. And it's just so like, yeah, in this scenario, I feel like in the past, it's actually just like straight up made the seasons worse. In this scenario, it's almost like, what is this even for? Like this didn't add or take away. All it did was add a segment where they had to go on a journey, which is just wasting time because I don't find it very interesting to see them stack metal
Yeah. It was a
pieces.
very old school type
Yeah.
challenge where it's like, oh yeah, you're just gonna play. It's like when the Marquesas kite
Kite
flying
flying.
challenge.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, you're just gonna play reverse Jenga. Oh, okay,
Right.
cool. So we're over and done with that.
Yeah.
I was when because the episode starts. If we want to go all the way back to the beginning, the episode starts with Rachel and Sam, trying to figure out what's next, and it doesn't really seem like, hey, maybe we can do this, maybe we can't, but they also kind of seem like they're just going to do their own things.
Yeah.
Almost immediately, they introduce the challenge and say that Tribal's going to be tonight. It's like, wait, is this a double boot episode? I was confused because they introduced the challenge so early in the episode. Did you feel like it was rushed at all, or?
Yes, and I think what ended up happening is that Tribal was long, and there was a live Tribal. So I think that was my first thought because I did feel that way too. I think that the first segment was very quick. It was like, and it was weird because it was like quick, even though they like gave us an entire history lesson on Rachel and Andy's journey up to this point. Like I thought that was funny. Like they showed like 5 separate flashbacks from this season showing like, hey guys, if you don't remember, here is exactly what happened with Rachel and Andy up to this point. Like I'm surprised that they went out of their way to like actually show the scenes. Like usually they just talk about what had happened. They don't actually show it. So it was weird because I feel like they spent a lot of time on that, but then also at the same time, very quickly got to the challenge. And we didn't hear from anybody else really. Maybe I'm misremembering, but as far as I remember, it was Rachel, Sam, and Andy. That's all we heard from.
That's really all that. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it's, hey, pick your partners, and we get the breakdown of how some people are picking. Obviously, the one that stands out the most, I feel like to an audience, would be Sam and Andy being paired together,
right?
Because we had been trained based off the trailer last week that it was going to be Sam versus Andy this week, and we really don't get much of that in this episode. Like their interactions are mostly either positive or just interacting, which leads me to believe that other shoe is going to drop very soon.
Yeah, I was surprised that Sam wanted to be with Andy, and it kind of made sense when he was like, yeah, I want to be up against Andy in the final round and I want to beat him. But I was like, so petty. Like when it's so petty, which is like fun, like we love to see petty on the show, but at the same time it's like, are you not like, is your first thought not like trying to do whatever you can to win? Like, because Andy hasn't been like the strongest player, or was it to like try to keep a perception of like, hey, I still want to do things with you. I still want to work with you. I don't, because Andy seemed to take it as like, oh, okay, interesting. I guess he doesn't have as hard of feelings as I previously thought. Yeah, very interesting, that grouping.
This episode in general had a lot of, it felt very old school. And what I mean by that is there are two different things. One is what I mentioned earlier, with the stacking challenge. It just seemed like an old school challenge. But two, something that, I mean, we've seen here and there, but like as soon as they announced it, I felt like it was more old school, was the you guys are to partner up. There's going to be different stages to the challenge where people are going to drop off, and then at the end is where we're going to have our definitive winner. Right. And I was cool with it. I think that the challenge itself flowed very well. There were a lot of fun little twists where certain people go out that you wouldn't expect. And then we get the final two that we kind of expect because of everything that's happened this season. And something switched in my head during that last challenge where I decided I really want Kyle to win this challenge, and I want Kyle to win, if that would have made it 4. I want Kyle to win 2 more challenges to break the record, of everyone else. I was pulling very hard for Kyle in that challenge by the time it got down to him and Gabe.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm all for somebody breaking the record because right now there's like a 5-way tie or something.
Ozzy, Mike Holloway, and
Harry,
yeah, a few other people, but
yeah,
I would love. I mean, Kyle's going to be around to at least get to 4 potentially. So, like,
yeah,
I really was rooting for him. Not that I didn't want Gabe to win. It's just, yeah, Kyle, come on. Like, especially because it's so early in the merge, the numbers that he could put up potentially.
Oh yeah,
as the game continues.
Yeah, no, he could get to what's the max that he could get to? 8, 9?
At this point, because they do a final 3, they would have 6 challenges left, right?
Believe so. So yeah, 9. So 9.
Okay. So I mean, it's not off the table, but like if we're being realistic, he at best probably gets 5 because the challenges are going to start to tease other parts of the brain.
True.
And not to say that he can't do these other things. It's just I feel like it might be in someone else's wheelhouse to dominate those others.
Yeah, it's not going to be all, purely physical, which, yeah, I think this one was pretty suited towards him. So, yeah, the fact that Gabe was able to beat him, maybe shows that he won't potentially break the record, but he still could. And I would love it to happen because we were kind of teased coming into this season, like new person on the Mount Rushmore, obviously, just because Kyle would break the record doesn't make him, doesn't put him on the Mount Rushmore. But we were kind of teased of like a new Survivor legend or somebody trying to become a Survivor legend in this season. And so that would be kind of funny and interesting if it was Kyle just breaking the record, especially because literally last season, I feel like a lot of people were pretty convinced like it was going to be Hunter.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Hunter, man. And then he just got voted out with an idol. And it's
oh my gosh. Yeah. Crazy.
Good old Hunter. Genevieve is voting herself out of players. She should have stuck with the majority to vote out the other tribe, Gabe, Sue, Kyle, and Caroline. But now trust broken with Sam and Rachel as well as Teeny. What Genevieve has shown the entire game is her ability to just stay off radars and her ability to pull in people that are by themselves and then cutting them. I don't necessarily think that she is going to be screwed in the short term. Now, in the long term, potentially, but I don't think it's going to be because she doesn't have like her numbers from the beginning. I think it's going to be everyone saying, hey, we need to get this person out now, no matter who started with her at the beginning. We need to get rid of her because she's been dancing circles around us for the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think that what Genevieve's thought process is that I have ammo here. Saul said he wants Gabe out. I know. Gabe clearly doesn't want to be taken out, so he'll be on board. Sue certainly loves Gabe and will be pissed off that Saul wants to take Gabe out. So there's 2. They can probably get Caroline, they probably get Kyle. Like the numbers just are there in that scenario. And she's thinking, okay, this whole Sam and Kyle, like those 2 are always going to be targets. So why don't we just take somebody else out that is a player and is like kind of on the up and up so far, and those other threats are still going to be here and everyone's going to be focused on them. They're not going to be focused on me because I'm going to be able to stay off of people's radars, like you were saying, where they don't even really realize that I was the one kind of pulling this to happen. So I understand why some people might see this and be like, whoa, why'd you take out Saul and you pissed off Teeny, I think, in particular, or just disappointed her because that was her closest ally and you were working with her. And Saul probably trusted her, but there's more to it than that, right? And the Tuku 4, right, are also like there are always going to be other targets, and I think that's always, we always talk about the meat shield strategy, but this is like a very like complex meat shield strategy of like just like have there all like still be a threat myself while nobody realizing it, and also having all of these other threats, clear targets, and just have everybody focus on them and they get taken out, have it be lined up in the right way to just allow me to slip through. And I think she's just playing it like pretty perfectly right now. Obviously that can change. Things can change on a dime, but right now she's playing it pretty damn well.
I'm fairly certain, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, and you correct me. I'm fairly certain when she was having a conversation with Gabe, she even says something along the lines of, "Yeah, if we do Saul now, then we still have Sam and Andy going at each other. That we're still setting up for that war ahead. So we have those two in front of us. We have this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, she's laying it all out for us as the audience and whoever she was talking. I want to say it was Gabe. To see.
I think so. I think it was Gabe.
This us getting out Saul right now still keeps eyes on Sam versus Andy because it's coming. It's coming, and we're at an odd number right now, so it could happen this week. We could get a 5-4. Or if people don't lose their votes, we could get a 5-4 situation. We could get an idle play or something like that. So I know this kind of turned into a Genevieve Simp Fest, but like
Yeah.
we're calling it like it is. Like, and we're going to talk about others. We're going to get to the actual challenge. So they basically run the Token Cheens Heroes versus Villains challenge for the final four, the one that Coach cried at. Courtney's impersonation of Coach doing that is one of my favorite Survivor moments. But Gabe wins, ends the winning streak for Kyle. Gabe, very, very politely asking Jeff to please stop talking so they could do the challenge. I loved it. It didn't come off as snarky. It was just like, hey, dude, like, I'm really trying to do this, and you're throwing me off my rhythm. What did you? Any thoughts on the actual challenge?
I'm surprised that when Gabe said that Jeff didn't say, Gabe, getting annoyed by me.
Yeah. Like the penny pulls the penner.
Yeah, because because I think, yeah, and again, I feel like we always somehow bring this up, even though like I don't really think about it until we get on here of like, has Jeff gone soft or whatever. I feel like this is a moment where you could say maybe he has. I feel like this is not something he never would have politely been like, okay, I'll respect your wishes. Like I feel like that's definitely a new development with Jeff.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel about that. Because that's kind of the whole thing with the challenges is like, yeah, you have to like stay focused while Jeff is yapping and yapping and yapping, And so just like hearing Gabe just like get to ask and he just is like, oh, okay, sure, was kind of weird. But it's not
Gabler and started talking about who he's doing the but I mean, at that point, I would have been aggravated with Gabe. So we get back to camp. We're split up. The four go to do the reverse Jenga. Everybody else goes back to camp to, figure out what's going to happen here. And that's where the Saul name first comes up from Genevieve to Sue. And then we're off to the races once again. Now, I know I referenced this earlier. It felt like the Rome boot episodes, which we both loved. As far as
Yeah.
it kind of seemed like, for me, it kind of seemed like, okay, Saul's going home no matter what. We just have to fill in time gaps here to, get our 90-minute, hit our 90-minute mark. But everything happening, even things like Rachel saying to Sam, "Do not blow up my game," and just it was one shot. It was one of the it's Guardians of the Galaxy 3 hallway scene. It's don't blow up my spot, and then cameraman cuts to Sam walking away to
Yeah.
talk to Saul and saying, "Hey, I'm ready to blow up Rachel's spot," and say, "They're all coming after you tonight." This, that, and the other. I love the way that scene was shot. I don't
That
love that Sam did that, but
yeah. Yeah, and that was going to be probably my question to you. But yeah, first I'll say I totally agree. That scene was awesome. How it was just like right here, Sam gets up. They don't even have to make a cut. It's just move the camera of Sam immediately talking to Saul and just blowing everything up. What do you think of Rachel even telling Sam in the first place? Because like you acknowledged at the beginning of the episode, they kind of mutually agree, like we can probably kind of do our own thing at this point. Like it's probably what we need to do to survive. Like I don't think Sam would have been super upset. And even if he was, who cares?
who cares?
The next day of like she didn't tell him, like I understand you want to try to keep as many people in your corner as possible, but like what ended up happening, like I think this could be pretty bad for Rachel. Like she even says like I need to be seen as trustworthy to this new group. I am at their mercy, and this doesn't come off as trustworthy.
Well, no, and the Rachel storyline this episode is really not even what she's once again. It's not what she's doing. It's what Genevieve is saying as far as, hey, do we tell Rachel or do we not tell Rachel? Oh no, do we tell? How do we? We have to ask Rachel if it's cool to tell Sam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. They want to figure out if they can use Rachel as a third party to get to Sam, or if they should just keep Sam out of it. But they want Rachel in on the plan.
Yeah.
And they inevitably tell Rachel. Rachel says, "Oh yeah, say it like we're good. Sam, we're good. You're not going home. I can't tell you who we're voting out." And then within 30 seconds screen time, it's going to be Saul. Saul, hey, can I talk to you real quick? Which in my head, I thought they filmed it like that, or showed it like that was because Saul was like pulling a like a Twyla in Vanuatu, where she's like clearly standing off to the side and can hear everything going on. I don't think Saul, if he did hear it, we weren't shown that he heard it. I just thought but I feel like Rachel will still be like, I feel like she'll be fine because she's always going to be a target anyway. Like we said last week, her threat level dropped because she played the shot in the dark. She's exactly what you said last week of she tried to read what people's faces were doing and no one reacted.
Yeah.
I still think she'll be fine.
Yes, I agree because kind of as I mentioned, as Genevieve said, there are way more targets out there than Rachel, and she was a target. She was gonna go home because she got really unlucky, swapped into that group. But she played her shot in the dark, and I think that a lot of people, they're focused on Sam, they're focused on Kyle, they're focused on just the Tukus in general. So I agree, but I still think this might be something that they keep in mind. But also, as I think Gabe says in the chat, or sorry, YouTube Bearcat says in the chat, Rachel now knows not to trust Sam because she just straight up told him, "Do not do this," and he just did it anyways. So like, that's out the window. At least if I'm Rachel,
without hesitation, she just
literally. literally just immediately stands up and does precisely what she told him not to do. It's just remarkable.
And it's crazy because the two people that are left from her tribe, like you mentioned earlier, we have Andy, who we get a trip down memory lane of all the times that he screwed her in this game. And then the second half of the episode is watching in real time Sam potentially screw her. And so all of a sudden, even if these three wanted to get back together, which is impossible because these two, Sam and Andy, that's not happening.
Right.
Rachel basically either has to, once again, just go with this other crew, which she's kind of doing already, or put her eggs in one of these two's baskets. And you might as well just come along for the ride with Genevieve and whoever she's with, because these two have shown you multiple times at this point that they are not looking out for you. The fact that Sam said it was Rachel, he didn't even try to say somebody else's name.
Yeah.
That it was Rachel.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like when he did it, I was like, okay, maybe he's not trying to screw her, but no, he literally just explicitly says, Rachel told me not to blow this up, but I'm gonna blow it up anyways. I think a big theme with Rachel, and I think would be definitely something that she could talk about at Final Tribal Council, given she makes it there, is like, she's kind of had terrible allies in this game. Like, she's been, specifically the Gata people, like, she's just been screwed by them, like, left and right. Like, Sam and Sierra both just told her, oh, yeah, we're taking out Andy. No. Took out Annika. And now Sam screwed her over once again. Andy, she told him, don't pull me aside in the middle of the night. That looks sketchy. And he does it anyways. So Rachel, bless her heart, I feel like has been dealt a rough hand, yet she's still chugging along. And I think, as we've mentioned many times, can still definitely win. And yeah, good on her, but also Sam. Just what do you think? Like, even best case scenario that it works, they take out Sue. Like, where do they go from there? Do you think that this is even like conceptually a good idea
to get rid of Sue? It doesn't seem like anyone is giving much respect to Sue right now. So I mean, I say that, but someone says, "Oh, Sue is the most insulated, insulated, whatever the phrase is, insulated player in the game." So I won't say that people aren't respecting her because they at least see that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that anyone's going to like, once they get rid of Sue, I don't think that's going to be some type of game-changing move. Now, I say that she would leave with an idol if she doesn't play it or whatever. She would be leaving with an idol, so they wouldn't know that had happened at that point. I don't know where they would go from. I mean, obviously they would have to go somewhere, unless it's going to be them. Did it at any point during this episode did you think, man, I think they may have flipped it on Sue?
No, I really didn't. And it was kind of a weird vibe that I got, where it was just like, this is just not going to happen. Like, I can just tell it's just not going to happen. Like, I think the main reason why is because Sam and Saul's plan hinges on Genevieve voting with them. And we already know.
And we know
Genevieve's not voting with you unless something else happens and she abandons the Saul plan. But as far as we know, that's not happening. So it was a weird, like, where, like, if you're paying attention to what names they're saying that the numbers that they're relying on, you know that one of them is not going to go with it. So you just know straight up there, okay, so it's not happening then. So no, I never felt like it was going to be Sue. And I felt the same way with Kyle when that name, was being thrown around. The one thing that I'll say, because like you mentioned, I agree that I don't think that Sue is really considered like this huge threat to win or to really like make any moves happen. But I do think there is some truth to Sue is kind of keeping Caroline and Gabe together. I think if you remove her from the equation, the Tukus become a lot weaker, obviously because you'd be removing one of their numbers, but really because like there's not a lot holding Gabe and Caroline together, because really the only reason they're working together is because of Sue. They're both
working with Sue. Yeah.
So that's something, but just take out, I don't know. Like I just it just, even given that, which is like honestly pretty sound reasoning in my opinion, I still, there's just something in my mind where I'm like, it's just not going to happen, and I don't think it's going to like be this game changing thing. I don't know.
Has anyone read Saul's exit interview? I heard he said there was a lot not shown in Tribal. I have not. I mean, I would imagine so, because Jeff even says like, "Oh, I know that you guys can have as much time as possible, but it looks like you guys are good, so want to vote." I, I just anytime I watch a Tribal Council, I just assume / know that it's probably going on for quite a while. I am interested to see if, or hear or read if there was anything in that interview that like would change the way that I watched that Tribal, because it was entertaining on its own. For me, it never felt like the vote was actually getting switched. No matter if Saul's getting up, doing, talking to all these people, it never felt like the vote was going to flip. Because at the end of the day, that Genevieve is locked in on where she's going, and that's, like you said, that's one number going the other way. It's not going Kyle. We're all just waiting for it now. If does Saul, does he find something off screen and play something cool? Maybe, but like
play a shot in the dark or something.
Yeah. So at that Tribal, it was entertaining. It was fine or whatever. I think my favorite part is the fact that Sierra looks very clearly pissed off at everyone, and it's so great. I know people hate on Kumbaya seasons. I get it. This season is another example. I think there's another one in the 40s where it's Kumbaya, but we still are. Even Jeff says, "Oh yeah, you guys are supporting each other during the challenge, and you were doing this."
Yeah.
But I still feel like these people are playing, even though it's Kumbaya, and I feel like a perfect mix of, for me, what a good Survivor season can be. Like, you can still love each other and still play very hard. It doesn't have to be friend-viver, but it also doesn't have to be this cutthroat game where we all have to hate each other after the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of my favorite seasons are ones that have the right balance between like warranted bitterness of like, hey, this is a game, but it's really not just a game. Like, these are real people who are like creating relationships, and like there are lines and people cross them quite a bit. And people feel like, to just set all emotions aside is silly in my opinion, but also you have to recognize that it's a game and people are playing hard for a reason. And so I love the seasons that can merge the two. I think Kagayan is like a great example. Like, we have like Tony.
I was gonna say, it feels like those people still hate each other.
Right. They kind of do, but like, the classic, Trish's final Tribal Council speech where she just lays into Tony like so hard because he betrayed her ruthlessly, but still, like, she is able to, I think, based on his answer and just based on she respected how he played the game. So I agree with you. And yeah, I think that Jeff like asks a question to Genevieve of like, does it contradict each other to be happy for each other when you win, but also have to go and vote each other out? And she says, no, I don't think it does. I think you can have both, because I think that you can celebrate in the game, but also recognize that it is a game and you have to vote people out. And so I think that that kind of sums up what you just said. So
Sue went to the Abby Maria school of being bitter. Just with this guy, like the fact that is Sue's storyline right now is she's in good with her folks. She doesn't like Kyle because he voted for her, and she found an idol, which we both kind of still seem like we're waiting for that to come back. It's going to come
I
back.
honestly keep forgetting. I keep forgetting.
Chekhov's idol. It's coming back. It's going to come back. Probably her boot episode, unless she like wins, because I know someone brought it up earlier. Actually, she said she's 45. Yeah. So I the fact that Sierra's sitting there pissy, I'm fine with it, because I don't get the vibe that she's just going to go up there and snakes and rats whoever's sitting at the end. I don't feel like we're going to end up with that type of situation. I feel like as more people get to Ponderosa, everything might chill out a little bit. Yeah, going with this. Also, we can't forget they show us Rachel's viewpoint on her playing the shot in the dark and why. She's major winner vibes. She moved up my rankings. I mean, she's my number one. So, where do you put Rachel right now?
I think Rachel is maybe not quite number one. I think right now it's Genevieve. I think Genevieve is my number one. I think Rachel's number two. I think Caroline is my number three, but she's slipping. Like, she's kind of slipping. Yeah, I think that maybe it's a little premature, because this episode she lost her vote and therefore was not really super in these conversations, and like, because there was just not as much stake for her because she just couldn't participate. But I just think maybe it's not so much that Caroline's slipping, it's more so that Genevieve and Rachel are just kind of overtaking her. So yeah, I think those are my top three, and honestly, I'd be pretty shocked if anyone else won.
Yeah, so for me, Rachel's probably going to be number two until Genevieve leaves. Like, even though she's my winner pick, she'd be number two until Genevieve leaves, because of it's you with the two of them, and then Caroline. It's me with Genevieve, and then Rachel and Caroline, and then everyone kind of drops from there. And once again, not to say that anyone is playing poorly, because it's all relative, and also I think that everyone is playing pretty well to damn well this season. Rachel has a lot going for her, not only in the edit, but just game wise. This as a pure viewer, Rachel played that last tribal so perfectly, as we both talked about last week, that I'd be shocked if she just went home 8-1 next week or whatever it is. Like, that'd be wild to me. Kyle is another one that is starting to actually come up, because we've talked. Maybe we haven't. I don't know. Challenge performance by itself will probably never win you the game. Almost never. Challenge performance with either strategy or social oftentimes win you the game. I think right now Kyle has the social locked in with that physical, because really the only time Kyle's name comes up is as the decoy vote, and then when it's whispered at tribal. But never did I ever actually feel, like you said, that Kyle was going home.
Right. And is that a testament to his social game, or is that just a testament to Genevieve just kind of having it locked up of Saul going home? It could be either or. I could see it going either way. One thing I want to say that I think points to Genevieve possibly winning is that they make it a point of tribal council where Genevieve says great survivor players have the ability to, when people are coming up to you and telling you things, to differentiate it between this is like a real thing or it's noise. And this, I think, proves that she's playing really well, is that there was so much noise at this. She had a plan. And Saul's telling her Sue, oh, wait, no, actually it's Kyle. Sam is blowing things up. She doesn't care. She's like, no, we're sticking to this. It's Saul. And that's what happened. There was noise, but she didn't care. She just ignored it.
Oh, no, that was Caroline that said that.
No, I think Caroline repeats it. I think she says, maybe I'm wrong, maybe not.
Because all I'm hearing right now is noise. And then they cut to her face. Like, I'm fairly certain Caroline said that.
Okay, I could be wrong, but I remembered it as Genevieve said it first, and then Caroline referenced what Genevieve said and said, yeah, Genevieve, I think, is right about that. And me personally, I'm hearing a bunch of noise right now.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, that is it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, I didn't watch the trailer for next week's episode. I'm assuming that it'll be more of the same. I'll
tell you, it's very centered on Sue wanting to literally kill Kyle.
Oh, so more of the same.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one thing where it's like she needs to get over that, like really needs to get over that. Like, this is like, you guys look at what we saw just 2 seasons ago, where a foursome can literally just run the gambit and just make it the Reba 4 in 45
with D and all them.
D and Austin and Drew and Julie. Yes. Like, they had their disagreements. They wanted to take each other out at multiple points. Well, if you kind of just suck it up, like, you can make shit happen, like, and let the others. So does Kyle remind Sue of a bad ex? She's only 42, so
45.
Good. 45. No. But yeah, I think that she needs to get over that. If they all just work together, like, they can make it far, but because they are not being targeted quite yet. So,
which is insane.
Right.
Which is crazy. I mean, obviously we finally lost a non-male. So, like, we didn't get much of Teeny's let's get all of the non-males on the same page stuff this week. But I don't think that it's gone. I don't think that I feel like we could start next week with, hey, look what we have here. Let's try something out. Let's go after Gabe or Kyle or whoever else are the guys that are left. Sue's hatred of Kyle seems personal. Yeah. I mean, personal, game personal. It doesn't seem. Oh, no. Okay. No. What I meant was they got rid of a male. My bad. They got rid of a male. Yeah. They got rid of a male. I won't say personal. I will say that Jeff makes it when Sierra's sitting on the bench, and he was like, "Yeah, now it is personal to her." I just felt that as it's game personal to her.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there might be some type of hidden resentment?
No, I think you're right. I think that he wrote down my name, therefore I hate this guy's guts, because as far as we can tell, Kyle is a perfectly pleasant guy to Sue and really to everybody. So as far as we know, there's nothing. literally nothing besides the fact that he wrote her name down one time for her to just be freaking out. So yeah, I disagree. I don't think there's any personal hatred.
We'll see. I think Genevieve versus Rachel and Fire is being set up. Yes, I agree.
Ooh, yeah.
I
And
agree.
basically, probably whoever wins that wins.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Um, I think Sue's hatred toward Kyle's game pettiness, like Genevieve wanting to avenge Rome. I don't think she's taking it personal. She just sees Kyle. She just sees Kyle was against her. Pretty rational for me, or to me. Yeah, yeah. I think everyone's kind of on the same page. I don't see. I mean, Sue's face when Genevieve comes to her and says, "Hey, I want to go Saul," and Sue's just like, "Oh, I really wanted to go after Kyle because he was
yeah.
going to them." And I was like, "Really? We're still doing this?
I
All right,
know.
like."
Like again, like you guys have a Thor that is willing to vote together, like for the time being. Like, why would you not just take advantage of that? I don't really. Apparently, she is just one of those players, and it's a pretty common thing where like writing their name down one time, like you are dead to them. You are
Yes,
completely
Maria
dead.
School of being petty.
Yeah,
That's exactly it. You wrote
yeah,
my name down twice, talking to
twice.
Lou. It's like,
Oh, could you imagine if Kyle had written
oh,
Sue's name
oh
down
yeah,
twice?
it's game over. Then
I
we're just
think,
gonna be Kyle versus Sue, and everyone
yeah,
wants that.
yeah. But yeah, I think you think we covered everything? Is there anything
Yeah.
else?
No, great episode once again. Winner pick still the same. Um, I know Showtime. They've got 10 days left in the game. I think we have about 4 or 5 more episodes.
Yeah,
So we're getting down to the nitty gritty as far as the end game. I feel like we're about 2 episodes away from getting to like, oh yeah, like this is each of their paths to get there. I think they have to
yeah,
get through. I won't call them fluff, but they have to get through a couple more people, and it's like, okay, this is this person's path. Um, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah. I think final thoughts. I think you and I both agree this is shaping up to probably be the best New Era season, if not probably second.
Yeah, 42 is still like right now. 42 is my favorite. I'd say that this 42 and 45, but I think that
Yeah,
this is definitely on the come up.
it's
Who's the
getting up
most
there.
likely to be zero vote finals, Teeny or Sue? Oh, that's a good question. I was ready to answer
Honestly,
it. I'm like, I don't know.
I think both of those are totally like totally could be zero vote finalists because so far Teeny is just like literally like I think is
Charlie
it
Brown.
Gabe?
Yeah,
Charlie Brown. Gabe,
Charlie
yeah,
Brown.
Gabe keeps bringing it up. I mean, it's true. He's not wrong because it happens again. It happens again where Saul was her one guy in the game where she was like, I can totally trust this guy. And if she had one other, it was probably Genevieve. Well, look what just happened. She was the orchestrator of taking out Saul. So, yeah, Teeny was looking good at the beginning, and just she's just not gaining steam.
I feel like I want to answer and say it's more likely Sue. I'd say
Could
more
be.
because Teeny could sit up there and say all my number ones were getting taken out, so it became a self-preservation thing, and I had to go along with this. And every time I came up with an idea, people wouldn't listen to it, or all of this. As compared to right now, all Sue can say, at least from an audience standpoint, is Kyle can kick rocks, and I'm actually 57 or 58 or 59.
Yeah,
So I don't know,
and
a
I
lot can
also
change.
yeah, and also like I went out of my way to just save Gabe all the time. Like there's not a lot like where she's furthering herself. She just keeps furthering. I guess furthering your allies' games is helping yourself, but I think it gets to the point where it's like Gabe is a strong player, and you just kind of keep deferring to him. So, and yeah, I think I agree that either one of those could totally be 0 vote finalists at this point. But I think of the two, probably Sue is the more likely one.
I think Teenage Strategic Game has been going downhill, but truthfully, her social game is going uphill. The way she teared up when they all left, she has compassion for people who leave, don't count her out. I'm not counting her out.
No.
Yeah, but I think that that hill, if we're using hill analogies, I think that she would have a very high hill to climb in order to win sitting next to certain folks. Now, yeah, we are still very early.
Yeah.
So for all we know, Teenager just becomes the ultimate Survivor player between now and then. And like we've seen it happen many times in the show's history. So like this is not me being tongue in cheek. There is a path, but as of like right now, after episode 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it right now.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page. Her path is narrow in the context right now, because I see she'd probably have to sit next to Sue and Sam or Kyle. Like, but there are so many other people in the game that you have to take them out first. So yeah. All right. I know we said we were gonna
good. Yeah,
we're good. Okay. Grab your torches, everybody. Head back to camp.